All right, so getting closer to what is so-called New Year's 2020. All right, so let's see what the Most High have in store for us for 2020. You know, it's gonna be it's gonna come down to the wire. You know what I mean? It's gonna get real hectic. You know what I mean? The trials, the tribulations, the judgment. All right, all these things are coming heading for the years that's coming up. All right, so it's been almost 20 years since 2000. All right, so that's why the scripture said, the Most High said, in 2 days He's going to raise us up, and in the third day we shall live in His sight. So, you know, it was thought back then that in 2000 it was going to happen, but the true understanding of that 2 days. That 2 days could be in reference to 2001, 2010, 2012, 2020, 2025, because we're still in the second day. All right? The third day, the Most High shall live in His sight, is when yahawashi returns. So we're still in that 2 days on the time the scripture speaks about, but it wasn't exactly the year 2000. All right? But we're still in that 2 days from the time that the kingdom split to the time that we're in now. All right, so it's almost close to 3,000 years since the kingdom was split on the Judah and the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. All right, so when you check out the time period, it's almost 3,000 years. It's over 2,700 and some years from the time of 722 BC, from the time the kingdom was split. That's almost 3,000 years. So we in that time period. In the third day, the Most High said He shall revive us. Let's go to that scripture real quick. I want to show you something. All right, because it was taught by our elders. You know, like I said, that's why no man has 100% truth. The Most High said we all have the truth in bits and pieces until yahawashi comes and restore the truth. Go to the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter. All right, because our elders before us taught us the year 2000. It's going to be in the year 2000, but like one of our elders always said, no man knows the date. You know, no man knows the date of the time. All right, but it was one of our elders that was pushing that fact. Right, and we were all taught that, but then it came to a certain point that we had stopped teach that because we came to realization that 2 days could be any time within the time period from 2000 up until this present day. All right, so let's go to the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter. All right, and let's read the first verse. Hosea, the 6th chapter and the first verse. You have a scripture, brother?
No.
Oh, man. Okay, there's one here. You could borrow this one here.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right. So we're going to the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter. It's your first time here, right?
Yes.
All right. So where you heard or seen seeing the truth or seen us? Oh, from these brothers?
Came by.
Oh, you came by. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So what's your name, brother?
Ben.
Ben?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter, the first verse. Hosea is in the Old Testament. That's right after Ezekiel. I mean, after Daniel.
Reading from the book of Hosea, chapter 6, verse 1. Come and let us return unto the Most High, for He hath torn, and He will heal us.
Right, because the Most High have torn us apart as a nation, and He's going to heal us. Because of our disobedience, the Most High torn us apart. He split the nation of Israel up and divided us up. Read on.
He hath smitten, and He will bind us up.
And He's going to bind us up. He's smitten us, and He's going to bind us up, bring us back together, heal us. All right? But He's giving you a time period when it's going to be done. Read on.
After 2 days will He revive us.
And we're in that 2 days. We're in that 2 days that He spoke about. All right? From the time this was written by Hosea the prophet to today, it's over 2,000 years. All right, and like the scripture said, a day with the Most High is 1,000 years. So it's been over 2,000 years.
Good.
All right, but to say exactly it's 2,000, that was incorrect. But we in that time frame of the 2,000 years that he spoke about. It could be 2010, 2015, 2025, 2030. It's still all in that 2 days that he spoke about, after the 2 days. And we're living in that time after the 2 days, from the time the kingdom was split, from 722 BC up until this present day. If you come from 722 BC, all right, 720 BC to 0 BC is 700 years. Then you start from 1 AD up until today, 2019 AD. That's how many years? That's what, 2,000, almost 2,700 something years. All right, from that time period that the kingdom was split. All right, so the Most High said after 2 days he will do what?
Verse 2, after 2 days will he revive us.
And that's what he's been doing. After those 2 days he has been reviving us, putting life back into us, the spirit of the truth. All right, read on.
In the third day he will raise us up.
And the third day is when Yahawashi shall return. That's the time we're approaching, that third day. All right. All right, we're in that time. So the 2 days have already passed. So we're approaching that third day now. All right, because it's been way over 2,700 years. So we're in that third day now. All right, read on.
And we shall live in his sight.
And that's the time we're living in. All right. So back then when it was taught, brothers didn't have the full understanding of it because everybody thought they had 100% truth, but nobody has 100% truth. We all have bits and pieces of the truth until the Most High brings us together as one body. All right. And to show you that, hold that, because everybody loves to brag and boast. I got 100% truth. You understand? You know what I mean? And when you say you have 100% truth, you have to be accurate. You understand? You can't be. You say you have some of the truth, and then one part is a mistake. You have to be exact, 100%. All right, because we all coming from a stage of learning process. We've been in darkness for a long time as a nation of people. All right. So go to 1 Corinthians, where Paul speaks about that. All right. 1 Corinthians
13?
Yeah, 13th chapter.
8 and 9.
All right. 1 Corinthians 13, and start from the 9th verse.
Reading from the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part.
So what does that mean when it says, for we know in part, and we prophesy in part? What does that mean?
We don't know the whole...
We don't know the whole shebang of what the Most High has. You understand? Because the Most High is so far advanced. Listen, during the time of Ezra, the Most High gave Ezra certain part of the truth. He gave him certain. He said, hold this back, keep this, give this to some of the people, and hold back the rest. The Most High gave him over 200 and something books. And the Most High said, publish some and keep the rest sealed. So how are you going to say we have all 100%? We don't have all the books of everything. We have the basics. Understand? Okay, so read that verse again.
Verse 9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come...
And who is that? Yahawashi. He is the perfect. He knows everything since the beginning. Do we know everything since the beginning of time? Were we there as eyewitness to have that facts and record and proof? No. But Yahawashi has all that, and that when he comes back, he's going to reveal all that to us. And he's doing it in stages. The Most High don't do everything, boom, presto right away. Everything is done in stages. It's just like from the time you are born to the time you're adult. Do you learn everything at one time? No. You go through stages. You go through what? From a baby, infant, a baby, and you start growing up. Then you go through the state of adolescent, and you go through different stages in life. Yeah.
That's what he was telling Ezra. When Ezra said, why can't you just make all the people now?
Yeah, right now. He said, nah, Ezra, you can't. Everything is just done in stages. It's a period of time. You understand? That's why Job said, wisdom comes not by doesn't come overnight. It takes a period of time to obtain knowledge and wisdom.
Good.
Everything doesn't come overnight. Yes, it's your spirit the Most High gives you as you go along and you continue to grow. But to say you have all of it right now, boom, you're fooling yourself. All right? Read on.
Verse 10. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
Right, so what we know in part, from now, when yahawashi come reveal everything, we're going to know everything in the end. But right now, every group has a certain amount of percentage of truth. Every group. No one group has 100%.
Good.
Because if one group had 100%, there's no need for yahawashi to come back.
Good.
That's right.
Then we should do it ourselves without yahawashi help if we have it all 100%.
Good.
You understand? All right. So some group might have more than some, yes, because that's evident when you read the scriptures. Hold that and go to Thessalonians, not Thessalonians, but Acts. I want to show you something in Acts. All right, Acts, the 17th chapter. All right, go to Acts the 17th chapter. And we're going to start here from the 10th verse.
Reading from the book of Acts chapter 17 verse 10. And the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews.
So these areas were all areas up in Asia Minor, around that area, which today is presently called Turkey. All right, all up in that area of Greece and those areas, we were scattered all into those areas, and we had synagogues in those areas. All right, so it says, and who went into the synagogue? And Paul and Silas by night went into Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Israelites. So we had synagogues up in those areas.
Good.
All right, read on.
Verse 11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica.
So these Israelites that were in that era were more noble than those that was in Thessalonica. All right? And what does the word noble mean?
Does it mean honorable?
Yes, honorable. You understand? So in every group, you're going to have some more groups that outshine some groups more than some. It's going to have more information than some. All right? So read that verse again.
Reading verse 11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were so.
Right? See? So they had some groups were more honorable, so they had more information and truth. That's why the scripture said, to whom much is given, much more is required. All right? So some is going to have more than some, but that doesn't mean that they have all 100%. All right? Okay, so loose that. All right, so I would just want to show that that some groups is going to have more information more than some, but that doesn't mean they have all 100%. All right, and that's why it's good for us as a body and a group to share information and not to be arrogant and proud. Because what you lack, the next man could give you. And what he doesn't have, you could share the information. But when anybody becomes puffed up and arrogant, I can't teach you, you can't teach me, you can't tell me nothing. You understand? But that's not where it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be able to receive and share information as a body so we could continue to grow. And that's what Paul speaks about that in Ephesians 2. All right? Go to Ephesians. I want to show some here in Ephesians. Ephesians. Okay, Ephesians 4, and we're going to start from and and start from the 7th verse. Ephesians 4 and 7.
Reading for the book Ephesians chapter 4, verse 7. But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure that is the gift of yahawashi.
So you see that? But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Hamashiach. So what is that saying?
We all get different amount of grace.
Right.
Some might know more.
Right. And we all have different gifts. Some is going to have more gifts than some is going to have less. But that doesn't mean those that have less is not worthy. All right? So read that verse again.
Verse 7. But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Hamashiach, yahawashi. Verse 8. Wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive, and gave gifts unto men.
And he gave gifts unto men. He gave gifts to every man. All right? Read on.
Verse 9. Now that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth? He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all heavens, that he might fill all things. Verse 11. And he gave some apostles.
Now he's going to show you now. He gave some apostles. Read on.
And some prophets.
Some prophets. All right. Read on.
And some evangelists.
Some evangelists. All right. Read on.
And some pastors and teachers.
And teachers. So everybody has their own different gift. All right. Nobody has the same gift as to say particularly. Everybody has a gift that the Most High gives. But that gives to share as a whole body. All right. Read on.
Verse 12. For the perfecting of the saints.
See what it is for? For the perfecting of the saints. To make us perfect. Read on.
For the work of the ministry. For the edifying of the body of Hamashiach.
See what it is for? For the edifying of the body of Hamashiach. It's to edify us. All right. Read on.
Verse 13. Till we all come in the unity of the faith.
Has that happened yet? No, we haven't all come to a unity of the faith as collectively as a nation. All right, read on.
And of the knowledge of the Son of the Most High, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Hamashiach.
And that hasn't happened yet. We haven't come to that measure, to the stature of the fullness of the Hamashiach. All right, read on.
Verse 14. That we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine.
And that's happening now. All right, read on.
By the sleight of man and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive.
And that's happening now. Way back then it was happening, the time of Paul, and it's happening again today. All right, read on.
Verse 15. But speaking the truth in love, may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Hamashiach, from whom the whole body, fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, maketh increase of the body unto edifying of itself in love.
And that's the point we have to come to. All right? All right? So, it's going to take time, but as Israel as a people, we are proud, we're arrogant, and I tell you, man, it's a lot of crap with us, man. You know what I mean? But in due time, the Most High is going to fix all that, man. You know what I mean? So, it's going to be a fight, it's going to be a struggle, but you have to maintain and keep that faith. You understand? All right. So I'm gonna go into my class today, which is Genesis, the 1st chapter. So I just want to show that, nobody has 100% of all the truth. You understand? Until the Most High bring us all back together. That's why the Most High have 12 tribes, right? Because Judah can't move or leave without who? The priests, the Levites. They have to work in conjunction together. You understand? All 12 tribes played a major role in that whole body. Just like your body, you have your arms, your legs, your feet. They all play a major role. The head can't do nothing without the eyes. All right? The head can't do nothing without the nose. They all have to play a major role. Just like every tribe. Every tribe plays a functional part and role that the Most High give. So as long as we're divided, we're not going to have that full body function. You understand? And even Paul speaks about that. The different parts of the body have different functions. The toe, the feet, they all play a major role. But until they're all together and working together, then that's the full picture. All right? So right now, as a nation of people, we're scattered. When we come back together as one, then the Most High will give us that one solid truth. But now we're scattered. It's bits and pieces here. One group have it, this group have it, this group have it, until the Most High bring us, bam! Yeah,
That's that third day?
That's the third day, when yahawashi reign and bring us back together as a nation. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, Isaiah, what you just said, Isaiah 52 and 8 show you how the Most High is going to do it. If you get a chance.
Yeah, you read it, you can read it. Read it, Isaiah 52 and 8.
I don't have it yet, I don't have to.
I get it.
That could apply to all these different schools, everything. Nobody can get around that one verse.
Right. Isaiah 52 and 8.
Yeah.
Read that. Reading for the book of Isaiah 52, verse 8. Thy watchmen shall lift up the voice.
And who's the watchman?
Israel.
Israel, the teachers, the leaders. All right? They are the watchmen for Israel. Like it said in Ezekiel, Son of man, I've set thee to be a what? A watchman for the house of Israel. All right? Read on.
With the voice together shall they sing.
With the voice together shall they sing. All right? Read on.
For they shall see eye to eye.
For they shall see. They shall see. That's future. They shall see eye to eye. But it's going to let you know when. Read on.
When the Most High shall bring again Zion.
When the Most High bring again Zion. When he brings us back together as a nation. That's when we're going to see eye to eye. Meaning everybody's going to be on the same page. 100%. So we're not going to see eye to eye right now because we're not together as a nation. We're scattered. We're divided. And that's why the Most High said in Ezekiel 36, not Ezekiel, but Isaiah, he says he's going to bind up the breach. Let me get that too. So we finish that, right?
Good.
Go to Isaiah. The Most High shall bind up the breach of the house of Israel. Isaiah. One second. Isaiah. Okay, Isaiah 30. And we'll start from the 26th verse.
Okay. Reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 26. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun.
All right. So what is that showing you right here? When we read the whole thing, I want to see if y'all can pick up and what this whole thing is saying right here. Read that verse again, that part.
Moreover, the son of the moon.
More the light.
Slakia. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun. And the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days. In the day of the Most High bindeth up the breach of his people, and healeth the stroke of their wound.
So anybody can explain that? What does that mean?
So the moon representing us being scattered now, as far as...
To a certain degree, but it's literally speaking about the moon and the sun too. But to a certain degree is that too, but it's literally speaking about the moon and the sun. All right. So he says, moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun. So it's showing you right now that not even the whole creation is not in its full operation. Why? Because of us. The nation of Israel is in what? Captivity. So while we're in captivity, the whole world is what? The whole world is in mourning and faded. It languisheth. While we're suppressed and trodden down, the whole exemplification of the universe is in darkness too. Because everything revolves around what? The 12 tribes of Israel. Remember the Most High said he made the world for our sakes. So when we're in full operational, everything is in what? Harmony with the universe. All right? Remember when we broke the law, the Most High said the earth shall be against us. The earth shall not yield its full potential. Why? Because we're not in sync with the Most High. Once we're out of sync with the Most High, the whole universe is out of sync. All right? So read that verse again.
Read from the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 26. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun.
So showing you the moon is not showing its full, is not giving its full potential of light. All right, read on.
And the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of the 7 days in the day that the Most High bindeth up the breach of his people.
And what is the breach of our people? The divisions. We're in division right now. We're separated. We're scattered. All right. A breach is like when you say let's breach that whole operation. You put a division or separation between it. Or they will say, like when you have a credit card or something, they say your card has been what? Yeah, been compromised. So we have been compromised. There's a breach within us as a nation. All right? Read on.
And healeth the stroke of their wound.
And the stroke of our wounds. Have our wound been healed yet? No. They haven't been healed yet. So, as a matter of fact, if we're not healed yet, the whole earth is in what? Mourning. The whole earth is in mourning. All right? And the scripture tells you about that. All right, go to that Ezekiel. The Most High said, because of Esau ruling, the whole earth is in mourning. All right, Ezekiel 35. I'm going to get Genesis. Ezekiel 35. I'm going to share something. And then I want Isaiah 2. The Most High said, the earth fareth away and languisheth. Oh, hold that. Go to Isaiah 24 first. Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24. I start from the 3rd verse.
Reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 24, verse 3. And the land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled. For the Most High has spoken this word.
And that was our land. It became empty. It was spoiled when the Most High kicked us out. All right, read on.
Verse 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away.
And that's the state that the earth is in right now. Read on.
The whole world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. Verse 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changing the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Verse 6. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Verse 7. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. Verse 8. The mirth of tabrets ceases.
Right, the mirth of tabret ceases. The true musical instrument and music in the earth has ceased. What's being played now? Madness, demonic music. The true music of the Most High is not being played in the earth. All right, read that verse again.
Verse 8. The mirth of the tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endureth. Endeth. The joy of the harp ceaseth.
Is the harp being played in the earth today? No, today in the earth. Back in the time of David and Solomon, that was being played to amuse us. The harp, the Most High rejoiced in that. There's no harp being played today. All right, read on.
Verse 9. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. Verse 10. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, that no man may come in. There is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened.
And all joy in the earth is darkened. All right, read on.
The mirth of the land is gone.
The mirth of the land is gone. Who's the mirth of the earth? We, because we're the salt of the earth. The salt of the earth is trodden down. All right, read on.
Verse 12. In the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. When thus it shall be in the midst of the land among the people.
That's it. Now go to Ezekiel 35. Ezekiel, I want to show you Ezekiel 35. To show you how the earth is in mourning and the earth is in darkness. Ezekiel 35.
14.
And yep, read the 14th verse.
Read it for the book of Ezekiel 35, verse 14.
But I tell you what, to see who is, to let you know what it's talking about, start from the 10th verse. Read the first two verses and jump to 10.
Good. Verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it. Verse 10.
2. Now read 2, yeah.
Read 2. Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it. Continue.
I read 3 too, yeah.
3. And say unto it, Thus saith the Most High thy power, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate.
Now jump to 10.
Verse 10. Because thou hast said, These two nations and these two countries shall be mine.
Who know what this verse is talking about? Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Most High was there. Who know what it's talking about?
Northern and Southern Kingdom, and America, which is Babylon right here, and Israel.
Right.
The land of Israel.
So he's saying, because thou hast said these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, I'm going to take it over because I'm the people of the Most High now. It's going to be mine. This land, this country, and everything is going to be mine. We're the people of the Most High. So what he did, he asserted himself in the position of being the people of the Most High. Now he's boasting. All right, read that verse again.
Verse 10. Because thou hast said, These two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Most High was there.
He said, and we will possess it, whereas the Most High was there. Whereas the Most High gave us this. The Most High was with us when we did these things. All right, read on.
Verse 11. Therefore, as I live, saith the Most High thy power, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them. And I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. Verse 12. And thou shalt know that I am the and thou shalt know that I am the Most High, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, They are laid desolate, they are given unto us to consume.
And that's the way they feel about us. All right, read on.
Verse 13. Thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me.
And they have boasted against the Most High with their mouth. All right, read on.
And have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them.
And the Most High heard his blasphemies against him. We're the Jewish people. And all these lies. We're the people that the land was given to. We were in Egypt. All right? So they boasted, and Moses said he heard all their blasphemies. All right? Read on.
Verse 14. Thus saith the Most High thy power, when the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee desolate. As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel.
So the Most High said, when the whole earth rejoiceth, showing the whole earth is not rejoicing right now. The earth is in mourning.
Good.
All right? Read on.
Because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, even all of it. And they shall know that I am the Most High.
So the earth is in darkness and in mourning right now. The 12 tribes of Israel likewise. All right? So until the Most High raises us back up, and we're back together as a nation, then we're going to have everything 100%. But right now, we now say that we don't have 100%.
Good.
We're still learning and coming to that level of perfection. We haven't come to that perfected level yet. All right? So it's going to be bumpy roads. It's going to be bumps. It's going to be some things that have to be adjusted and fixed as we go along, because we haven't come to that perfected level yet. All right? So I just want to share that because as we go along, the Most High is going to reveal and bring a lot of truth to us. You understand?
Good.
And certain things that we weren't taught, we have to adjust. I'm like, okay, because everything was what? A trial and error till we get to that perfected level. We haven't gotten to that perfected level yet.
Good.
All right? All right, so I just want to share. So let's go to the book of Genesis, the first chapter. I know certain mistakes were taught, you know what I mean? But that's how it is in life. Sometimes you just gotta readjust. You learn from your mistakes and you grow. You understand? You know? But that's not to say that we weren't taught the truth of certain things. It's just that certain things wasn't brought up to the level of perfection as we went along. All right? Because just like when we came into truth, we were taught that Moab and Ammon were the Chinese and Japanese. We were taught that. And that was fed to us. I remember when I first came to the school, I was taught by Yeshai. And in Yeshai's class, I remember it was a Friday night. And then a brother came in the class and Yeshai was teaching, and he raised his hand and he said, excuse me, could you tell me who the Chinese and Japanese? Yeshai said, that's easy, brother. That's easy. Let's go to Genesis 19 and let's go to Ezekiel 35. And he showed more and Ammon, boom, boom, how Nebuchadnezzar pushed them to the far east. But that wasn't really so. Nebuchadnezzar never pushed them to the far east. All right? The far east that he was talking about wasn't the far east to China. It was further east to the areas of Arabia. You understand? That's when the Arabians came and took them over in their land. And when the Arabs, Ishmael, came and built mosques and temples in their land. But Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom never reached to the far east. The only kingdom that reached to the far east eventually was the British Empire. Not even the Greek Empire reached to the far east. They didn't go into the far east. It was the British that went into China and those areas. All right? But this is what we weren't taught. But as we went along and we started researching the scripture, we saw that Moab and Ammon wasn't the Chinese and Japanese. You understand? You understand? Because Moab and Ammon is still there living in the land of Jordan today. They're still there. All right? Because when you read Maccabees, during the time of the Maccabees, that's like 400 years after Nebuchadnezzar. And Judas Maccabee and his son was fighting against Moab and Ammon in the land. So if Nebuchadnezzar pushed them to the far east during his time period, why were they still there in the land fighting against Judas Maccabees? It has to add up. If Nebuchadnezzar pushed them to the far east during his time period, which was around the 6th century BC, why would they still be there in the land that Judas Maccabees will be fighting against them. It has to add up. All right? I taught a class in that too, but I'm going to show you again too. But matter of fact, let's go to that real quick. I want to show you something. Go to First Maccabees. But I'm not bitter against my teachers. That was just, like I said, everything have that time and chance. It's a time. Everything has to be in the appropriate time. All right? So you grow, as you go along, you grow. You increase in knowledge. 200 years ago, did Esau did he have cell phones? No. No, he had to continue growing and increasing, learning. Did he have planes and cars 200 years ago? Hell no. He had horse and buggies. He had to progress. And he had to continue learning in stages. 20 years ago, he didn't even have a cell phone the way that we use a cell phone today. Did you have a cell phone with a TV in it where you could watch TV 20 years ago? Hell no. And that was only 20 years ago. But 20 years ago, he had a cell phone. But you couldn't watch a cell phone with TV in it and YouTube and all this stuff. All right, so progression, stages. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, what you said there with the phone, that was only in the cartoons. That's before your time. It was Dick Tracy.
Yeah, Dick Tracy. You know, but now today you could pull out. Now you don't even need a TV no more. You could watch TV on your cell phone.
Right.
Who ever think you could watch TV on your cell phone 20 years ago? All right. So go to First Maccabees. I want to share something right here. And this scripture right here, everybody read it with proper understanding, you see it makes a lot of sense. First Maccabees, the 5th chapter, right? And start from the first verse. First Maccabees 5:1. Remember, the Maccabees was around the 1st century BC. This was the time that the Greeks was ruling. First Maccabees, the 5th chapter. You gotta have to go with the time period, the time frame. This was during the time of the Greek Empire, the 1st century BC. Nebuchadnezzar was around the 6th century. To be exact, his kingdom started like around 605 BC, around that era. And Nebuchadnezzar ruled for roughly about maybe 90 years. Roughly around that time. His rulership or his kingdom wasn't a long-lasting kingdom like the Greeks and the Romans. Or the Persians, right? But when he ruled, he had a large portion of lands that he covered, all right? So where every kingdom that came along, they extended their rulership with more territory and more power, right? After the Babylonians came, the Persians who took over and gained more territory. They went as far down as Egypt, India. They had 200 and what, some provinces. India. From India to Ethiopia, they reigned. Right? Then after that, the Greeks came, and the Greeks added more territory. Then the Romans came and added more territory. Right? So let's start off First Maccabees, the 5th chapter and the 1st verse.
Reading First Maccabees chapter 5, verse 1. Now when the nations round about heard that the altar was built, and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much.
So Judas Maccabees was renewing the altar and rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem, because the Greeks had desecrated under and the Antiochus Epiphanes. All right, read on.
Verse 2. Wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them, and thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. Then Judas fought against the children of Esau in Idumea at Arabatim, because they besieged Israel, and he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoils.
So he fought against Esau, the Edomites. All right, read on.
Also he remembered the injury of the children of Bien, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, in that they lay in wait for them in the ways.
Which was who? Who was these children of Bean that he's talking about? Remember Moses spoke about it when we came out of Egypt? Amalek came and attacked us. And he said, write it down in a book for a memorial, that we shall have continual wars against the children of Amalek. for what they did. So read that verse again.
Also he remembered the injury of the children of Beam, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, in that they lay in wait for them in the ways. He shut them up therefore in the towers, and encamped against them, and destroyed them utterly, and burned the towers of that place with fire, and all that were therein. Afterward he passed over to the children of Ammon.
Now, he said afterward, he passed over to the children of Ammon. So why would he go over to the children of Ammon if they was already gone and left out of that area? Read it. Go ahead. Finish reading it.
Afterward he passed over to the children of Ammon, where he found a mighty tower and much people, with Timotheus their captain.
So Timotheus was their captain. All right, read on.
So he fought many battles with them, till at length they were discomfited before him, and he smote them. And when he had taken Jazer with the towns belonging thereto, he returned into Judea.
So now, why would he go and fight against the children of Ammon if they was already gone? If they was already pushed already to the far east, why would he go over and fight against them if they was already pushed to the far east? And the scripture tells you Moab and Ammon would be together no matter what. All right? But I'm going to show the scripture that was used for us to show us that. Go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 25. All right, Ezekiel 25, and start here from read the first verse.
Read in the book of Ezekiel chapter 25 verse 1. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against the Ammonites, and prophesy against them.
Now this was during the time period of Nebuchadnezzar. This was in the 6th century BC. All right, read on.
And say unto the Ammonites, Hear the word of the Most High Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because thou sayest, Aha, against my sanctuary when it was profane, and against the land of Israel when it was desolate.
And it became desolate under Nebuchadnezzar. So when Nebuchadnezzar destroyed us, all the nations rejoiced against us. All right, read on.
And against the house of Judah when it went into captivity.
Under Nebuchadnezzar. Judah went to captivity under Nebuchadnezzar. All right, read on.
Behold, therefore, I will deliver thee to the men of the east for a possession.
And this is scripture that was used to show us that Nebuchadnezzar was going to push them to the far east. But is this saying the far east? Read that verse again.
Behold, therefore, I will deliver thee to the men of the east for a possession, and they shall set their palaces in thee, and make their dwellings in thee. They shall eat thy fruit, and they shall drink thy milk.
So when you read this statement right here, what do you get from this verse here? With comprehension when you read that verse.
That they're still in the land, that they're still in the land, that the people from the east, the men from the east is building their palaces in their land.
Right, the men from the east was going to come into their land and take them over and possess them. It wasn't saying they was pushed to the far east by Nebuchadnezzar. Even though Nebuchadnezzar was ruling at this time. But he had other nations came in and possessed them. And we're going to show you that nation were the Ishmaelites. It tells you the children of the east was Kedar. In Jeremiah, I'm going to show you that. Continue reading on. I'm going to show you.
And verse 5. And I will make Rabbah a stable for camels.
So he says, I will make Rabbah a stable for camels. Read on.
And the Ammonites a couching place for flocks. And ye shall know that I am the Lord. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because thou hast clapped thine hands and stamped with thine feet, stamped with the feet, and rejoiced in heart with all thy despite against the land of Israel. Behold, therefore, I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and will deliver thee for a spoil to the heathen.
And see, they're going to be delivered to a spoil unto the heathen. All right? Because remember, when Nebuchadnezzar ruled, all the nations went under Nebuchadnezzar. Every last one, even Egypt, fell under the hands of Nebuchadnezzar. All right? Read on.
And I will cut thee off from the people, and will cause thee to perish out of the countries. I will destroy thee, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, I am the Most High. Continue.
Continue, yeah.
Verse 8. Thus saith the Lord, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, because the Moab and Seir do say, behold, the house of Judah is like unto all the heathen. Therefore, behold, I will open the side of Moab from the cities, and his cities from Salakia, from his cities which are on his frontiers, the glory of the country, Bet Jessamah, Baal-meon, and Kiriathim, unto the men of the east with the Ammonites. And
so you see, wherever Moab and Ammon are always going to be together. So he says, unto the men of the east with the Ammonites, and we're going to find out who the men of the east are. Continue reading on.
And will give them in possession, that the Ammonites may not be remembered among the nations.
And what does that mean? When it said the Ammonites shall not be remembered among the nations, what does that mean?
You're going to be thoroughly wiped out?
The name as who they are is not going to be remembered in the earth as Ammonites. Just like Israel, nobody remembers who we are.
Oh, come.
Because today they will be known as what? Bedouins in the land. Bedouins that's living in the land. All right? And very, very few of them know who they are. But the vast majority of them don't even know who they are. All they know, they're descended from Abraham. All right? Read on.
Verse 11, and I will execute judgments upon Moab, and they shall know that I am the Most High.
So let's find out who are the men of the east now. Let's go to Genesis, all right? Also get Jeremiah. Okay, let's go to Genesis first and find out who the men of the east are. Genesis 25. And start from, read the first verse.
The book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 1. Then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Isbak, and Shua. And Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim, and Levmim. And the sons of Midian, Ephah and Epher, and Hanak, and Abida, and Elda. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward and onto the east country.
Unto the east country, all right? And that east country, let's read on. It was, read on, yeah, read on.
And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life which he had lived, 160 years. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and he was gathered to his people. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah.
That's it. So hold that. That's one part. I'm going to show you the next part. All right. Now go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 40. I'm going to show you. To the east country. The people of the east country were the Ishmaelites, the family of Ishmael, Ishmael brother from which was Midian. All right, the sons of Abraham. All right. Jeremiah 42. Sorry, 44. 44. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Damn, I just had it here. Just out of here, wow, that's lost it well. All right, so I'm sorry, Jeremiah 49. All right, Jeremiah 49. Yes, Jeremiah 49. And we share who the men of the East are. Jeremiah 49 and start from 28. Jeremiah 49, 28.
Read for the book of Jeremiah chapter 49 verse 28.
But before we that, go back to Jeremiah where we left off. Jeremiah 20. Jeremiah. Where we are left off, where we was reading? Was it Ezekiel? No, was it Ezekiel you're reading? Ezekiel 25?
Yeah, 25.
Okay, Ezekiel 25, right? 25, right? Now go back up here to the 4th verse, Ezekiel 25 and 4. And that's right, in the man of the east where it says, behold, therefore, read the 4th verse. Yeah.
Read it for the book of Ezekiel chapter 25 verse 4. Behold, therefore, I will deliver thee to the men of the east for a possession.
Right, so the Most High said, behold, therefore, I will deliver thee to the men of the east for a possession. Now, what somebody has as a possession, you're what? A slave, you're captive. So the Most High said, I was going to deliver thee to the men of the east for a possession. Read on.
And they shall set their palaces in thee.
And they shall set their palaces in thee. What is their palaces?
houses.
their mosques, their temples. All right, read on.
And the first, and Kedar, and Adibil, and Midsam,
Mishma. You can read that small print, huh? Y'all stop reading them small print, man. Tell y'all, man. Go ahead.
and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa.
So these were all the sons of Ishmael. All right, Kedar, Abdiel. So we see who Kedar is, one of Ishmael's son. Read on.
Hadar, and Tema, Jetur, Napshish, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names, by their towns, and by their castles. 12 princes according to their nations. Verse 17. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto this people. Verse 18. And they dwell with Havilah, and unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria. And he died in the presence of all his brethren.
And who was his other brethren? The children of Keturah, which were the men of the east that live in the east. All right, when you go back to 6th verse, it says, and Abraham gave up all, the 5th verse, and Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubine which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. So they all live in that east country, in the area of you call Arabia. See the areas in Arabia today what they call Yemen, what's the other place over in Arabia? Dubai, all those areas. Kuwait. What's the other one name? The Arab Emirates. All that was the land of Arabia. Then eventually they started carving and put names on it. But all that area was the land that was given to the sons of Ishmael and to Keturah. They dwelt in that area. They were called the men of the east. All right? Anything south and going eastward to where the land of Judah was called the land of the east. That's why Job was called what? Job was said he was a man from the east. Yeah, Brent.
What does eastward mean?
Eastward mean east, towards the east, going towards the east. All right. Now go back to Jeremiah 49 and 28.
Reading book of Jeremiah 49:28. Concerning Kedar, and concerning the kingdom of Hazor, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, shall smite.
He smote them too. Like I said, when Nebuchadnezzar ruled, he took all nations under him. Read on.
Thus saith the Most High, arise ye, go up to Kedar, and spoil the men of the east.
See who the men of the east were? The children of Ishmael, Kedar. These were the men of the east, not China. All right, read on.
Verse 29. Their tents and their flocks shall they take away. They shall take to themselves their curtains, and all their vessels, and their camels, and they shall cry unto them, fear is on every side. Flee, get you far off, dwell. Let me read that again. Flee, get ye far off, dwell deep, O ye inhabitants of Hazor, saith the Most High. For Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Babylon, hath taken counsel against you, and hath conceived a purpose against you. Arise, get up you, get you up unto the wealthy nation that dwell without care, saith the Most High, which hath neither gates nor bars, which dwell alone.
Speaking about the children of Ishmael, because they were a wealthy nation. They were 12 princes too. All right, read on.
And their camels shall be a booty, and the multitude of their cattle a spoil. And I will scatter into all winds them that are in the the uttermost corners. And I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof, saith the Most High. Verse 33. And Hazar shall be a dwelling for dragons, and a desolation forever. There shall no man abide there, nor any son of man dwell in it.
Right. So these were the men of the east that came and possessed Ammon and Moab. All right. That's who possessed them, the Ishmaelites, and they came in and possessed their lands and built mosques in their lands. That's why today, what language do they speak? They speak Arabic. And if you talk to any of them, they will tell you they're descendants of Abraham. Mattathias spoke to one, and he said, listen, he said, I'm a Moabite. Right? And when they went for the last Passover, Mattathias spoke to one, and they said, you're Ishmael. He said, no. He said, no. He said, no, Ishmael, that's our brother. He said, no. He said, I'm one of the sons of Abraham, which he belongs to Keturah. You understand? He knew the history. He said, no, he said he's not an Ishmaelite, but he's also one of the sons of Abraham, which belonged to Keturah. Yeah, Brent.
When we do when you put down like that over there on your head, when he said it's time for me to go home.
Soon. All right. All right. So these were the men of the east, the children of Ishmael, all right, that came and possessed the Moabites and the Ammonites in the land. So Ishmael is a predominant nation that dwells in that area, in the area of Jordan, Lebanon, the entire Middle East. The predominantly people over there are the children of Ishmael, all right, and the children of Keturah that dwells in that area, all right. So that's what it's talking about. Yes.
Now, didn't it say about Moab and Ammon that they dwelt in the far east?
In the east, they dwelt in the east. Not far, in the east.
It didn't say far east?
No, it says the east. They were men of the east. But the far east to that was the area of Arabia. That was the farther east. You understand? Because when you read the book of Job, it said Job was a man of the east. Because he was close to that area. Parts of Edom borders Saudi Arabia. So that's why he said he was a man of the east. He said Job was what? One of the, let's go to that real quick. Job. All right, read the first verse down to the third verse.
Job what?
Job 1:1 down to 3.
Okay. Job 1:1. There was a man in the land of Uz.
Right, so the land of Uz is down into Edom, close to Arabia, the borders of Arabia. All right, read on.
Whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Yahweh and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 she-asses and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men in the east. See?
So the man of the east. Anything in that area, southward, going towards the east, was considered the men of the east. That's why when you read in Matthew, he said wise men came from the east. All right? Where in the east they came from? From around that area. From around the river Arabia and those areas. Because you had Israelites also up in that area too, during that time period. All right? So anything that was south and going east of Jerusalem was called the East Country.
Okay.
All right? So it said he was one of the greatest of all the men of the east.
Of the east.
All right? And the children of Ishmael was called the men of the east too. All right, and anything further was called the farther east, going farther over. All right, so that's why it says Nebuchadnezzar. You share taught that Nebuchadnezzar pushed them to the far east, but that far east was in China. All right, it was the Ishmaelites coming into their land and taking them over and possessing them in their land. All right, so that's the understanding of that. Nebuchadnezzar never pushed them to the far east because his kingdom didn't reach to the far east. Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom ended and it began all around that entire area. He covered Egypt, the Mediterranean, up into the Mediterranean Sea, up into Babylon, all of Arabia, Saudi Arabia, and all that area, around that area. He didn't go. First of all, Nebuchadnezzar, his kingdom didn't extend over into Iran. It got closer, but he never ruled over into the areas of Iran. Right?
Okay, so you're saying that Moab and Ammon are not the Chinese and Japanese?
No. It's still in the land there today. They all mix up in the land there with the children of Ishmael too. They all mix up in that area.
Moab and Ammon.
Moab and Ammon. Still there in the land today.
So we don't know who they are?
Well, from a conjective opinion, you could say they are the people in Jordan today.
Okay, so who were these people that they were teaching us with Moab and Ammon?
Your side was saying Moab and Ammon are the Chinese and Japanese
Exactly,
today.
right. Who are they then?
Yeah, the Chinese and Japanese are Japhetic.
They're Japhet.
They're Japhet.
Okay. That
The
makes
Japhet,
sense.
because Mosai said Japhet shall be the largest of all nations. I mean, look at the Chinese and Japanese, the Koreans,
sense, yeah.
all they're the largest population of nation on the earth.
Indonesian, is still Indonesian, Polynesian?
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
Okay.
But China, Japan, Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, all of them are Japhet. That's Japhet.
Japhet.
Yeah, because Mosai says are in large Japhet. They're the largest nation. North Korea. North Korea has a 1 million man army too, just like China. You understand? Northern nation have a 1 million man army. How is it you have a 1 million man army ready and a next 1 million man army in reserve? Who has that? Northern nation on earth has that. North Korea has a 1 million man army ready for war. China has 1 million plus another 1 million reserve. So that's what the Mosai said, Japhet shall be the largest nation. It tells you in Genesis, Mosai shall enlarge Japhet.
Yeah.
And that's who they are. The Chinese and Japanese are Japhet.
Okay.
Even what they call Mongolians are Japhet.
Okay.
They're the children of Japhet. Alright? The Vietnamese, the Cambodians, the Vietnamese, North Korea, South Korea, all that area over there is the children of Japhet.
Makes sense.
Alright? They're the largest nation. Alright? So Moab and Ammon is still there in the land today. Because it's nowhere in the prophecy where the Mosai said Moab was going to be a great exceeding nation to with a great army. There's no prophecy in there to show that. You can't find no prophecy where the Mosai said Moab and Ammon was going to be a great nation to with a great army. Because that's going to be the next world power. The Chinese and the Chinese. That's the next world power coming up. That's what the Mosai said. When we get back in the land, they're the one that's going to come up against us. Gog and Magog. All right? Eventually, they're going to surpass America. And that's what America and the generals are expecting. They know that China is the next world power. All right? And that's who's going to contend against us when we get back in the land. When the Mosai said Gog and Magog, he's speaking about them. That's Gog and Magog. That's going to come against us in the land. All right? So that was that bit of information. And even Yeshua eventually came out and said that Moab and Ammon is not the Chinese and Japanese. He eventually came out and said it. But then he sure said that's what he taught. But he tried to put the blame and say it was Marshall that taught that. But it wasn't Marshall that taught it, it was Yeshua. He was the main one that taught, because he taught it, and I was there in the Friday class when he taught it.
I remember, yeah.
I was right there the same night, and the brother raised and asked a question, and he taught it. You understand? So But that comes along when you start to grow and increase in the truth. Information becomes more prevalent. You understand? And for that's why the Most High said, knowledge shall be increased in the latter days. All right. So, but I know a lot of camps still teach that Moab and Ammon are the Chinese and Japanese. But if you ask them to prove it prophetically that Moab today is the Chinese Japanese, they can't show and prove it. Because you have to show and prove in prophecy that Moab will be a great exceeding military power and an economical power today, according to scripture. The Most High never said about him. He said Moab shall be a base country, desolate. There will be no remembrance of them. And when you read the other prophecy in Jeremiah and Ezekiel, they're about Moab. Moab said Moab shall be his washpot. If I'm a washpot, I'm going to be a great exceeding army. What's a washpot? A person that wash dishes and you doing a what? Menial jobs. Most I said Moab is my washpot. So what are they washing? The Chinese in a washpot today. You can't take the Chinese lightly today. China's in all nations today building up their economics and their military. China's in Africa now. And the white man is scared of it. He's like, God damn, they're in Africa now. Because that's control of the wealth of the earth. You understand? And the white man is saying, damn, if they're in Africa, that's going to push me out the box. And that's what he's worried about, his dollar collapsing. Because his dollar is based off of oil. It's not based on gold. Because Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard. And what he did, when Nixon became president, he put the dollar into Saudi Arabia oil business. And he took the money off of the gold standard. So that's why today you have a nation known as the BRICS and different nations that's joining with Russia. And China, just a weeks ago, formed their own, it's called the yuan or some crap, their own currency that's going to outnumber the American dollar very soon. And that's what they worried about. That's why they took over Iraq, Gaddafi, because they were going to change their currency to gold. So they had to knock them out the box so the American dollar won't collapse. But they can't do that to China. They can't do that to China. Even though you drop a bomb on China, a nuclear bomb, you still got to contend with 1 million more people. And that's why they showed you the movie, it was this movie, it says, Pegasus has fallen when they attacked the White House. They show you it was North Korea. When North Korea attacked the White House and the White House was down. And they show you it was a military that came and took it over. And they show you it was North Korea. What they were showing you is China. But they put the blame on North Korea. But who backs North Korea? China. You understand? That's like a daddy to them. North Korea is a daddy to China. I mean, China is a father figure to North Korea.
Where they're from now?
They're the same people. Because anything south of China is called the South people. Vietnam means South people. South to who? From China. All right? They're the same people, just different families. Or different tribes. All right, the Japanese too. All right. So I just want to share that a little bit of information, you know, because a lot of people still teach more about Ammon, the Chinese, and Japanese. But you have to go in the prophecy to show that Moab will be a powerful nation today. And there's no way in the prophecy that shows that. All right. And where Moab is, Ammon is going to be. Where Ammon is, Moab is going to be. In the same place. And like I said, Mathatia has a tape where he spoke to the guy, and the guy that took them around into the land of Edom, he was a Moabite. The taxi driver, he was a Moabite. He told him, he said, yeah, I'm a Moabite. In the land of Jordan. Jordan was actually the land that they live in. Right? And how many tribes live in the land of Jordan? Back then.
What, there's no?
Esau, Ammon.
Esau lived in Jordan too. Edom is in the land of Jordan. All right.
Ammon.
Moab, Ammon.
And Gad, half-tribe Manasseh,
Right.
and
Reuben.
Reuben.
That live in the land of Jordan. Jordan is bigger than the land of Israel.
Good.
You understand? That's why the Most High said Gad and Reuben, they were given their land first. He tells you east of the Jordan, east. They had their land, the best of the land. It was a fertile land. All right. Then the other tribes began to get their land, but Gad and Reuben got their land first in Jordan.
Before they went over.
Yeah, and Reuben, Gad, Manasseh. Then you had Moab, Ammon, and Esau living in the land. But it was not called Jordanians. That was called later on when Esau went in there and took over, when he partitioned the land around the 1940s, and he called it Jordanians. There's no nation of people as Jordanians.
Yeah.
But the people in the land of Jordan are Moab and Ammon, because what's the capital of Jordan? Ammon. That's the capital of Jordan, Ammon, which represents the people that's in the land. All right? Okay? Right. So let's go to Genesis, the first chapter. What time is it now?
Ben, one question.
Yeah.
Would it be safe to assume when you read when yahawashi comes with the angels and deliver us, America's going to be under war? Would it be safe to assume China would be the one that starts it? Attack America? Or is that just stretching it too far?
You could say, because what it's really boiling down to now is a geopolitical war. It's about economics, resources, and maintaining your power.
Right, because China's pushing that fentanyl that's doping up Esau's kids. That's like a war.
Right, it's a war. That is a war. When you put a blockade in a country, that is a war too. All right, it's different ways of raging wars. It's a different tactics that you use to rage a war. See? Because America know they just can't go attack China like that. If once they do that, that's it. It's over. It's a all-out war. You know? So they have to take a back seat, and they have to like take great counsel how they fight this one, how they push that button. And once you push that button, it's no going back. It's on. Because it's going to involve everybody. It's going to involve Russia. All right? It's going to involve all the nations, because, like I said, World War I, World War II, is based on what? Economics, keeping the existence of your power. Nobody wants to lose their power and their wealth that they have, especially America. And that's the reason why Trump, his main slogan was, "Make America Great Again," because he foreseen China as that up-and-coming power against them. So he wants to make America great by keeping white power structure and establishment going. They don't want to lose it. All right. Okay. But it's going to come down to that. The war is going to come down to oil.
And water.
Yep, oil and water. It's going to come down to that. You need oil to fuel this. Everything in the system is based off of oil. To run these lights, it takes oil. To run your cars and everything that you use, the trucks, the trains, all boil down to oil. Oil. That's the blood life of this country. That's the black gold. All right, and that's why they fight wars to keep the oil protected. Because once the oil stops coming in, it's a problem. Because remember, the oil that they're using mainly here in this country is the domestic oil from Canada.
Right.
But the other oil is oil that they keep in reserve, just in case there's an emergency, which comes from Venezuela and some from Arabia. But they get less than 20% of their oil from overseas. 85% of the oil comes right here from Canada. You understand? So that's what fuels this everyday society. And the other oils is which are kept as reserve. Yeah.
But what they're purporting now is that the oil in Alaska is dwindling, it's starting to come down.
It's starting to come down?
Yeah. And they're saying they might have, it's 30 years left of oil. Yeah. in the Alaska.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why they was doing that fracking too in certain parts of North Dakota and those places too. You understand?
Talking about bringing that back.
Yeah. And that's what they was doing, fracking. You know what I mean? But they have to protect the oil overseas too. You understand? And China wants to get that oil too, because China needs oil too. So that's why China wants to link up with Iran to get the oil. So that's why they're making it hard for Iran to export their oil. You understand? Because they know that Iran is going to exchange their oil to China.
To China, gone.
And they don't want it. They want to cut Iran off.
Right.
You understand? So what they was trying to do, the other faction is to build a pipeline from Saudi Arabia to feed the other, to export oil to other nations and keep and knock Iran out of the box.
Right. Right.
But that's not going to work, because once you start starving the people from eating and fueling the economy, it's going to lead to a war.
Right.
How long you going to continue to say, listen, you can't sell your oil? How do you mean I can't sell my oil? You going to blockade my oil? You going to bomb my ship? Eventually it's going to lead to a war. Everybody got to survive.
Right.
So it's a war, economical war, geopolitical war that they're fighting on the front. So it's going to boil down to that eventually. All right. Let me show you that real quick. Now, I was going to go to Genesis, the first chapter. What time is it? But let me show you something here. Go to 2nd Ezra 13, 156. Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, right? Start from the first verse, 2nd Ezra 13 and 1.
Reading out the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 1. And it came to pass, after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number, from the four winds of the heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
So he's showing you right here, there's going to be a multitude of nations coming to fight against yahawashi. Now, when people read this here, the only person you have to figure is yahawashi. Ain't no other man is talking about here. Like it said in Revelation 19. It had a host of army to fight against him. All right, read that part again.
No.
The 5th verse, right? Read that verse again, yeah.
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number, from the four winds of the heaven,
from the four corners of the earth, coming with a military to fight against him. All right, read on.
To subdue the man that came out of the sea.
And they're going to try to subdue him. It's laughable, man. All right, read on.
Verse 6. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place where without the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fright.
They're going to be afraid, but yet they're still going to fight. All right? Read on.
And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lift up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war.
Why? Like he said in Revelation 19, right? Go to Revelation 19. All right? Because he's going to speak the word. He's just going to speak the word, and it's going to be done. Revelation 19, right? It says the same thing. All right, Revelation 19 and start from 11.
The book of Revelation, chapter 19, verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and it was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he hath judged and make war. He doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword.
Same thing is saying over here. Out of his mouth is going to go forth a sharp sword. All right, read on.
That with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and the wrath of the almighty power. And he had on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords.
Now go back here to the Apocrypha now. All right, and read that. And read the sixth. Read the fifth verse again.
2nd Ezra chapter 13 verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lift up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath.
Right, so he just spoke the word. Boom! And he just happened. Destroy them, man. He's just going to command the elements. All right, read on.
And out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burnt them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid.
And yeah, as just said, when he saw this, he was afraid. Who wouldn't be afraid? Who wouldn't be afraid? Shoot. All right? Yo, that most of the how should I going to show his power in that day, man? All right? Read on.
Afterward, I saw the same man come down from the mountain, and call unto him an other peaceable multitude.
So that's us. He's going to call it peaceable, which is Israel. After he destroyed the multitude of nations. All right? Read on.
And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, some of them were bound, and others some of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awaked and said, Thou hast showed thy servant wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer. Show me now yet the interpretation of this dream. For as I conceive in mine understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days, and much more woe unto them that are not left behind. For they that were not left were in heaviness. Now understand I the things that are laid up in these latter days.
So see, as we go along in the latter days, more things is going to start to be revealed. So the Most High doesn't reveal everything to you one shot. Because Ezra had to get this at a period of time. He didn't get everything one time. All right, read on.
For I can see, well, Salakia.
It's 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I understand.
Verse 18. Now I understand the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen unto them and to those that are left behind. Therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities, like as these dreams declare. Yet is it easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world, and not to see the things that happen in the last days. And he answered unto me and said, the interpretation of the vision shall I show thee, and I will open unto thee the thing that thou hast required. Whereas thou hast spoken of them that are left behind, this is the interpretation. He that shall endure the peril in that time hath kept himself. They that be fallen into danger are such as have works and faith towards the Almighty. Know this therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead. This is the meaning of the vision. Whereas thou sawest a man coming up from the midst of the sea, the same is he whom Yahweh the highest had kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind.
So if it's talking about a particular man, it has to be showing it's talking about the Messiah. You understand? So when people read this here and say they don't believe in the Messiah, they don't believe in no man, who is this talking about? Who is this man then?
Right.
You have to find out who is this man is talking about.
That did all them things.
That's going to do all these things in the latter days. All right? Read on.
Verse 27. And whereas thou sawest that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind and fire and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him, this is the interpretation. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth.
Right. It's going to be astonishment to a lot of people, man. All right? Read on.
And he shall come to the Salakia. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared.
See? Then shall my son be declared. All right? So this is a dagger for a lot of these non-Messianic Israelites, man. All right? They can't say, what is some just prophet?
Right.
Who is this then?
Right.
All right? Read on.
Whom thou sawest as a man, Salakia, I'll start again. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending.
Right, this is the man that's going to be ascending. All right, read on.
And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another.
Right, so they're going to be fighting against themselves. Why are they fighting? Geopolitical war. For what? The control of the resources and economical power in the earth. And when they hear Yahawashi's voice, they're going to stop fighting amongst themselves, and then they're going to focus against him. Oh man, this is the problem here. All right? Because that's what it's boiling down to. Resources, power, and economics in the earth. Resources is what you need to run a nation. Without resources, you don't have nothing. All right? Whether it's oil, diamonds, precious jewels, whatever you need in the earth to maintain your society economics, that's what you need. And if you don't have those things, it's going to lead to a war. All right? Read on.
Verse 34. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion.
See, so where is this going to take place?
Israel.
And which one, what they call what? What's the name it's called?
Mount Zion.
Yeah, but what's the name of the battle where it's going to be called?
Jehoshaphat.
The Valley of Jehoshaphat.
Right.
That's where it's going to take place, right there. And Yahushua is going to stand upon Mount Zion, like it said in Zechariah 14. All right, go to Zechariah 14. So all this is going to take place in the east, in the Valley of Decision. All right, Zechariah the 14th chapter. Zechariah 14 and start from the 3rd verse.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 14, verse 3. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east, and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee like as ye fled before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord, my power, shall come, and all the saints with thee. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth, and in that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one. And the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Ramon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananiah unto the king's wine presses. And the men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more other destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited.
All right, so that's just showing you where he's going to stand upon the mountain, all right, in Mount Zion. So that's where that battle is going to take place in the east, all right. That's where Yahushua is going to make his grand appearance, all right. And that's where all the nations are going to come up to fight that battle, right there in the east, in the Valley of Decision, all right. Yes.
Yes, sir. Now I just want to say, based on, like I said, when all this starts happening, all this fighting, this, that, and the third, we come out to the children of Israel, with Yahweh's word says right here, what's that, is it? 2 Chronicles 20 verse 15. And he said, hearken ye all Judah, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, and thou King Jehoshaphat, that you was talking about. Thus said the Lord Yahweh unto you, be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours,
Right.
Yahweh's.
The Most High battle, and that's where the Most High is going to fight, in the Valley of Decision, the Valley of Jehoshaphat.
One thing I want to say, so say for instance, we are trained, we are trained to stand third, to fight and all that. Yeah. But say for instance, when all this started taking place, it's like, I don't know scripture offhand, but when he told them to march around the wall of Jericho, 7 times?
Yeah.
He didn't say 6 times, So, you know, whatever he says, we do. So when it comes out of this fighting, like you said, all we got to do is be ready.
Be ready. Be
But it's going to be, like I said, his angels and everything going to be with him.
Right.
So, man, that's deep. That's what that
Yeah.
is.
So the Most High is going to judge it, because we can't fight against the nations without, we don't have no power. So the Most High is our military. He is our power. He's going to do our defense against the nation. We can't even, look, we can't even go up against the American military.
Well, we know
We don't stand a chance. Listen, the white man don't even have to shoot a bullet. All he has to do is push a button and neutralize everybody. He has it where he could just push a button and he just like a heat wave, like where it paralyzes you. It stuns you. You can't even fight.
They try to start food stamps when they get to stop.
No, but that so much, yeah, that too. But they're gonna rebel. But what he has something that's used as a crowd control.
Yeah.
And it works off
Sound.
Sound wave.
Yeah, sound waves, where it could deafen you and paralyze you and neutralize you. You can't do nothing. That's all he gotta use and it's done. Yeah.
They showed that on certain, how they use it on certain people.
Yeah.
They did it on Wendy Williams. They did it on a couple of other people. They showed that thing does exist.
Yeah, it could neutralize your senses, everything. It just pacifies you right there, without even shooting a gun at you. So he has a lot of stuff he could use against us to his disposal, but of the grace of the Most High, why he hasn't released all those things against us. But in the end, he's going to use it to show his power. That's why the Most High has to destroy him. All right? So it's going to be a beautiful thing. That's why Ezra said he was afraid when he saw this thing, man.
Who wouldn't be?
Right? Who wouldn't be, man? Shoot. And that was back then when he saw it, and he said he was afraid. Imagine how we could see the technological advancement that he has in weapons, right? And Ezra wasn't even there to see the weapons that he has. But now we could see the weapons that he has to fight wars. So imagine, if he said he was afraid, are we not going to be afraid? All right. All right, so where we left off?
35.
Back in paragraph 35, yeah, read 35, yeah.
Second Ezra chapter 13 verse 35. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and built, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. And this, my son, shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor, by the law which is like unto fire.
All right, so that's it. All right, so it's going to come down to that. It has to come down to a war. Everybody is vying for power. It's a geopolitical war for the resources and the wealth of the earth. And he that controls the wealth and the resources of the earth is King Supreme. And America wants to maintain that. They don't want to lose that. And China is that power that's coming up, that's bucking against America. And that's why China is him on an economical war and a trade war. China is hitting them on all levels. So as a tactician of war, you have to know how to fight your battle. You have to know to use different tactics and move to weaken your enemy.
Because he can't do everything.
You just can't come and bombard him just like that. So you have to fight him at different fronts, different ways of fighting the battle. And that's why it was a Chinese guy, what's his name? He spoke on the art of war. What's his name? Sun Tzu, the art of war. Yeah, he was a brilliant tactician, man. You understand? The art of war, how to fight your enemy. Yes.
Oh, you said it's just China and North Korea. What about Russia? I thought Russia was like a...
Russia is going to be joined with them too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Russia is going to be partly joined with them too. You understand?
Everybody goes against America.
Everybody going to turn against America eventually, because they're going to see what America is really about. You understand? Yeah.
Now, I just want to say, pertaining to when you were saying about the button, about all you got to do is push a button. Of course, we know Yahweh's in charge of everything. So that button's not going to be touched, because in Revelation, with the brother Matthew, I think it's Revelation 18:21, quote me on that, when, you know, you know how everybody talking about they want to bomb America for years since I was born and growing up. They gonna bomb America. Just like World War I, II, da. But only he gets the glorification of destroying this dragon.
Right.
Right. So.
Right. The Most High is gonna get the glorification. Nobody's gonna get the glorification of that.
Everybody will get that.
You understand? But that's what it all boils down to, control of the resources. Because Africa has one of the greatest wealth and resources, but they don't control it.
I know that's right.
All the rest of the European powers control the wealth in Africa. And they took that wealth and shared it amongst themselves against the other European nations. And that's why China is popping up in Africa now, because China wants some of that resources too. Because remember, China is not like America. America has bases in every country on the face of the earth, which creates allies. China doesn't have bases in every country. So that's one of the disadvantages China has towards America. In order to deploy your military quicker, you have to have bases in different areas of the earth. China doesn't have that. You understand?
After World War II. America got wise with that after
World War II, yeah.
That's what they had to do.
Yeah, you have to have allies and bases in every country of the world to deploy your military on a faster scale. You understand? And one of the greatest advantage was having a naval military at sea. At any given time, you could deploy those forces. You understand? Now, China has a great naval, but they don't have bases in every country. So it will take them longer to deploy their military. But China could shoot a missile from China to America. And they got their own people here. Chinese is always loyal to Chinese. They never turn against their own people. That's one thing. Chinese are always loyal to Chinese. So in the time of war, they're going to defend their people and their country.
All right. They gave them a home base. China taught it everywhere.
Yeah, they got everywhere. You understand? I noticed, one thing I noticed too, when they have a presidential election, they never show you the stats and where Chinese vote.
Nope.
The majority of the time they show is blacks, white, and others. But they never show Chinese. They say Asians, but they never show it. They never show who Chinese actually vote for in a presidential election. They don't show it.
A lot of them don't partake. No. A lot of them don't
partake.
No.
But they have a vast power in this country. You understand? But they don't want you to know about that. China has a lot of power. You understand? And their people buy from their own people. They don't support nobody else.
They have their own banks.
Yeah, their own banks. Yeah. You understand? I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. Shoot, I'll do the same too. You understand? That's what we should be doing as a nation of people. You know what I mean?
They do the correct.
Yeah. They support one another, man. Yeah. Chinese business, Chinese restaurant, the Chinese restaurant, Chinese supply their own food, everything to the restaurants and everything.
When I did cable, I went to put cable in the Chinese neighborhood. They built cots on the wall, up, down, and they all share one room like this. And they all work from
one up, yeah.
And then one person get a cable box, and everybody in that building shares.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how they network. Just like Bay Ridge and those areas over there. One time was Italians. Italians like gone now. That's a Chinese neighborhood now, Bay Ridge. And like, what? Every damn thing there's Chinese now, man. You know the Italians mad as hell, man. In Bay Ridge and those areas. Yeah, and Brooklyn. There's nothing about Chinese over there now, man.
And Jersey City is all Indians. East Indians.
Yeah.
They bought up all the high rises over there. They got expensive high rises.
The Mexicans were bad.
Yeah.
Chinese, they don't care.
And then one thing with Chinese, they don't care about nothing. They just destroy and eat every damn thing, man. You know, like white people might say, okay, let's preserve this and certain things. Not these gooks, man. They just eat and just destroy every damn thing, man. They making plastic this, plastic that, plastic every damn thing, man. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
The Chinese places ain't clean, man. China's kind of disgusting, but they live. People speak about the Mexicans now. You have 50 Chinese in one spot.
And they support one another, man. They support, You know? But I just want to show that, I guess I have to do Genesis, the first chapter next time. It's 2:24, so we won't close out. Yeah. All right, so I just want to show that, share that a little bit of information, and next time I teach, we'll go over Genesis, the first chapter. Yeah. All right. So with that, I say shalom.
Shalom.